Good morning. Welcome to the Marshall County Board of Supervisors regular session today, June 19th, 2024, in the courthouse first floor meeting room. Notice to the public, the Board of Supervisors welcomes comments from the public during time allowed for discussion. Requested to approach the podium right over here. Use the microphone for our recording. State your name and address for the record and limit time used to present your remarks in order that others may be given the opportunity to speak. The normal process on any agenda item is for the chair to read the item from the agenda. The board's given the opportunity to comment on the issue and or place a motion on the floor, and an opportunity for discussion may be presented, at which time the public may participate and a roll call vote will follow. We'll start with a roll call, please.
Heil.
Yes.
Solasic.
Yes.
Hibbs.
Yes.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve today's agenda?
I'll make the motion. We approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Heil.
Yes.
Solasic.
Yes.
Hibbs.
Yes.
Number 5, Service Awards. 5 years for Keaton Durking from the Sheriff's Office Patrol Deputy. And I do not believe he's here today. But is there any comments from the Sheriff's Office on Keaton's 5 years?
Keaton has been with us 5 years. He actually came to us from Boone County, so he had a little bit of experience there. But yeah, 5 years has flown by, and we're happy to have him.
That's great. Thank you, Ben. Any further comment from the board? All right. Thank you, Keaton. 6A, approve claims as audited. Authorize the auditor recorder to issue the payment of the same. Listing of claims paid at this meeting. All claims paid in the current month will be published as part of the first meeting of the following month. Personnel changes, status change, secondary roads. Randy Kunze from Mechanic 2 to Mechanic 3, full-time, from $29.83 per hour to $30.39 per hour, effective June 22nd, 2024. And file manure management plans, Justin Whitaker, number 66798, 1775 Benford Avenue, State Center, signed with changes. And that is the end of today's consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
We have the motion and the second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Heil.
Yes.
Solasic.
Yes.
Hibbs.
Yes.
All right, on to number 8, our presentation from John Hall at the Marshalltown Chamber of Commerce to discuss contract possible action today.
Well, good morning, supervisors. Glad to be in front of you this morning. During your budget process, I had been in front of you and talked a little bit about potential of a county contract to support economic development efforts. So for the last handful of years, we have received funding from the county to support our economic development efforts, but really have never had any kind of formalized agreement about what those resources should be utilized for, and how you're measuring to make sure that those resources are being utilized appropriately for development efforts that you all are hoping to see. And so what I've put before you today is a proposal at a 3-year contract, $100,000 each year for 3 years, with really the rationale that that increase in funding allows us to not only pursue economic development efforts with the existing team, but actually to hire then a dedicated resource that will be, their primary focus will be doing work throughout the remainder of the county. And so in the time that I've been here, I've been engaged on a couple of things throughout the county, but really with limited capacity to do much. You know, there's been a potential project in State Center that I don't think moved forward, but I had a couple of meetings out there. I've been engaged with the folks at Blood's Dairy as it relates to the potential expansion of their herd with the Daisy project over in Boone County. And then I've worked closely with the folks in Albion over the last couple of years and some of the development that they've had, and really did that as a kind of an internalized pilot project to gauge the level of interest from some of our more rural communities in seeing growth opportunities and pursuing anything that might be positive growth and momentum for them. And that has gone, I think, really well. Again, one of those situations where with additional capacity, I think they could could be better served, and there's more that could be done. And so while this contract would then allow us to hire that position, I do want to make it clear that really what the county would be contracting is our entire team and the services that our entire team can provide. And so, while I have a great background in economic development, if there were something that would need my attention and effort, I would be right there in lockstep with whomever we hire to kind of lead these efforts, relationships with our state partners, our federal partners. I have Kate Bowermaster with me. She's our workforce director, so she would be plugged into any large businesses throughout the county. And then Dylan Does, our tourism director, our rising star tourism director. Sorry, I have to put that caveat on for one more week, I think, is what he required of that. But leveraging assets that the county has throughout the rest of the county to make sure that we're maximizing our tourism efforts as well. And so I feel really confident about where we've come with this proposal. I think on my initial terms, I had suggested a 5-year term to match up with the city. After hearing some feedback and having some really great conversations, I think a 3-year maybe is more appropriate and is something that the county felt like there was more appetite to maybe look at, which would still give us a long enough runway to be able to hire a position and really show return on investment in a pretty quick time frame. It should be noted that this proposal is modeled off of successes that we've seen throughout the state. So this is not us going it alone or inventing the wheel here. Really, this is predicated off of what the Ames Chamber did with Story County a number of years ago, probably about 10 years ago now. They engaged in something similar with Story County. Since that time, they engaged with Boone County about 4 years ago, and then Hamilton County as recently as about 3 months ago. So they've continued to see more and more counties signing on to wanting to do something, a similar relationship and partnership, because it allows you to maximize the strength of your bench that you've got without having to try and duplicate efforts or have somebody who knows everybody or knows everything, but allows folks to really use their skills as a collective team. It should also be worth noting that Iowa City and their Chamber of Commerce did something similar through Johnson County. So again, this isn't reinventing the wheel. This has been done successfully in other counties and communities. So I'd ask if you've got any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
John, I think it would be helpful if you could talk about what you see as some priorities, some priority work areas
Yeah.
maybe that you envision?
Yeah, so in addition to kind of some of the traditional economic development efforts as it relates to business recruitment and retention for some of our large employers, really a lot of our rural communities, I think, have a desire and appetite to figure out what growth looks like for them. In some of these communities, it may mean that adding one house a year for the next 5 years is real growth, but it turns what feels like a shrinking demographic and shrinking population into positive growth and momentum. And so whether it's adding additional housing, whether it's looking at downtowns and figuring out how to access some of the state resources to work on just one or two buildings, the mindset shift that can take place as a result of one or two small projects can really start to catalyze momentum. And I think Collins is a really great example over in Story County where they saw one building get restored, and then because of that building getting restored, they got 2 or 3 more buildings restored. They've got a gym over there now. They've got vibrant businesses downtown, and then they were able to attract a gas station because they didn't have a gas station, and that was a big deal for their community to be able to leverage in. And the success and the momentum really has transpired from there. So that's a big component of it. I also really see that there's this incredible opportunity within our ag space. We've got tremendous agriculture businesses here in our community right now. What I think we're missing and starting to see a trend towards is more private label agriculture businesses that you think about, like farmers market type vendors. But even beyond that, what does further processing and production look like to diversify our agriculture offerings here in the county? And how do we make sure that we leverage that and celebrate that? That creates agritourism opportunities, that creates creates new business opportunities in downtowns in any of our communities, whether that be things like meat lockers or local shops selling those things, or even farm-to-table restaurants. And so I think there's a real opportunity to lean into that. There's a tremendous number of resources, both through Iowa State University, through the USDA, through the state of Iowa. So there's a lot of pieces that we might be able to pull into leveraging that. So.
Childcare is an issue too. I know, especially in the county areas and in rural areas,
Yep.
where they have to drive a ways to find a childcare provider. So I would think that, I know Kate's working on that, so I think that would also be helpful as an area to prioritize as well.
Childcare is one of our kind of key priorities within our workforce development efforts. I think Kate's got a childcare needs assessment that's going out to employers later this week and early next week, and we'll be really hitting that over the next couple of weeks to try and really benchmark what our childcare needs are. So that we can start to really dive into solutions. We've explored a couple of different solutions, and we really haven't gotten the employer buy-in. So we feel like taking a step back, doing a survey to benchmark, finding those real pain points, starting to figure out how we make some momentum, and then kind of annually doing this survey and leveraging this survey so that we can measure over time. And so we are really intentional about making sure that we're driving everything to data, and that we have those data points to measure ourselves with in the future as well. So
I think it will be helpful to incentivize not only center-based care, but quality in-home care.
Yep.
It's going to take, I think, a combined effort to address the issue.
Yeah, one of the things that we've done is positioned ourselves for assistance with access to child care, but basing it on being registered with the state. So trying to remove some of the liabilities that may come from advertising those that are non-registered with the state, or marketing those, but also some of the unique kind of check boxes you can check as you go through that. So if you're a bilingual center, or if you do meals during the day, even as an in-home, but you're registered, those are things that we can help to elevate. And so we've got a dedicated page on our website to kind of elevate those opportunities, and we'll continue to evaluate that and make that known. So.
Go ahead, Steve.
John, you're not going to any of the other communities in Marshall County and asking for dollars. This is going to take care of the whole
Correct.
county. then,
Yep.
other than Marshall.
So
John,
we
or-
will likely try to leverage additional private investment coming into our organization. So that's something that we pride ourselves well on, is within our economic development efforts, we are about 50% public, 50% private, trying to be a true public-private partnership and show that there is value for private industry to be investing in our economic development efforts. So we will likely try to use these dollars to leverage additional private resources coming in to support our overall organization, but we're not intending to go to any of the rural communities. We know how strapped they are for resources right now, and the work that they need to do. Our ask to them will come when it comes for development opportunities. How do we make sure that that we're maximizing the resources that they do have available, whatever those resources may be, whether that be a tax abatement on new housing, or if we are looking at doing something like a catalyst grant for a downtown building that requires a match, and if the city's really the one leading the project, they may have to have cash in. So it'll be projects like that we'll ask for them to be a part of, but from an organization perspective, we will not be approaching them for any resources for ongoing operations.
Okay.
I like the ag and the agribusiness approach to it. Do you have an ideal candidate in mind?
Not at this point. So I've had a few conversations with a few different folks. I'm a firm believer that within the business of economic development, it's more about disposition than it is about knowledge base. We're not launching rockets in the parking lot. We're not saving lives, but it's about having somebody who has the confidence and comfort of having a conversation with a diverse audience that allows them to not only receive the information, but be able to confidently regurgitate it when the time is right. And so we've had a couple of conversations with some folks, and we'll likely look to post, and probably post statewide, and we're considering whether we do a nationwide post on this as well. just because this is, I think this would be a highly desirable opportunity for folks that are new into the economic development space. So.
Excellent. Thank you, John. I know that I think growth is always something that we talk about as a key component of the property tax system, and that's what keeps our taxes low, is that growth. And looking in the rural areas, most especially, is where we see a lot of small towns dying, and I think just giving a small investment like this to getting that growth in the small towns. You look at example like Ferguson, they got that they did a good job with that old school and the community center. It's like without that opportunity they have, what happens to Ferguson, and what can happen with this position to maybe allow such another small piece of growth there. And that's just one example, I think, that we can try to capitalize on with this position and this contract.
I do know that I believe there's a couple of folks here that may want to also speak on it. I don't know if there's opportunity for that or not, but
Perfect.
I didn't want to.
Okay.
So, all right.
Would our Albion representatives like to?
I'm Pat Hemming. I'm mayor up there in Albion, and I've worked with John now for about a year now on this. There's a committee called the Strategic Development Committee that I was asked to join in on. Albion is struggling. We're dealing with infrastructure issues right now with our sewer and our water. We were asked to back the rail trail. And our council the other night, we did approve support for that, but financially, we had to also raise our water rates by $8.50, which really put a strain on how much we can give. And being at the beginning of our sewer project, we do not know if we're going to have extra dollars to throw in. So something like this that will help us. We'd love to get a restaurant there in town. We're working on cleaning up properties there in town. All those are dollars that we're really strapped for. So I'm hoping that the board will back this, help John help us.
Excellent. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jim Bowman. I am Senior Economic Development Manager with Alliant Energy. And I kind of want to echo some of John's comments. Alliant Energy is well invested in rural Iowa. In fact, because of our service territory, we serve a large part of rural Iowa. And we've recognized for a number of years how important rural Iowa is. Thus rural Marshall County, and we've seen significant challenges that you've mentioned, like population decline. I think it's one of Iowa's biggest challenges. We see the urban areas grow, but the rural areas shrink. I've conducted economic development in my career for over 35 years, and this has become a passion of mine. And Amanda Aculla knows, is our key account manager here in Marshalltown. We continue to invest in economic development. We are a major investor in the Marshall Chamber of Commerce. We'll continue to do that. Private sector, we recognize that to grow these rural communities, we've got to have strong urban centers that draw the population in, that have jobs, that then have incomes that can afford the housing, the child care. And so there's this regional effect that I don't need to tell you, but that's really, I think, part of the solution of solving the problems of rural Iowa, is making sure that industrial development, which brings in the new dollars into the region, is then benefiting the rural communities with, so families can live lives and have homes and raise children and have incomes. So we're very aware of this problem and continue to invest in it. We're a major investor in the Iowa Rural Development Council. We're working on initiatives on leadership, helping rural communities build stronger leadership, because that, as you know, it takes that kind of leadership to really see the issue. So it can be status quo. We can leave things as they are, and that's not a good outcome. You have to raise taxes. Now, the burden is on fewer people. Or we can do what John is suggesting, is to be proactive. And John's right, this has been done throughout Iowa, but not all communities can do it. It takes leadership, it takes funding. We're going to be at the table funding it. We're excited that you're considering this because we believe this is part of the solution in growing Marshall County. We serve, I think, over 50% of Marshall County in your electric needs. We continue to invest with generation, distribution, industrial land development that we're working on together. We've been really, really pleased with the change of leadership with bringing John on, and couldn't be more happier to be here supporting that. And we encourage you to invest in this, and let's do this together.
Thanks. Any other comment on this?
Blaze Ware, Marshall County Assessor. My only concern with some of these smaller communities, they don't have building permit systems or anything like that. So is some of this information going to be shared with my office? I know we've been in works with some of the City of Marshalltown stuff, so that's just concerns I want to bring up with that. And then with like the Urban Revite programs, House File 718 has changed some of that. Currently, out of the cities that we've had it, I think Marshalltown and City of Liscombe are the only ones to redo their urban revites so far. The rest have not yet, with updates to House File 718. So that would be some concerns too that might want to be addressed with the smaller communities as well.
Okay. Thanks for the heads up on that. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Okay. I'll make a motion that we,
I had a question. Do we have the physical contract?
I assume it's the most recent draft you had sent?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll make a motion that we approve the most recent updated draft from the, sent to us by John from the Chamber of Commerce.
We don't have it. Sarah and I do not have it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
But yeah,
If
I've
you
only
could
provided
set
it
it up.
electronically ahead of time, so I
Thank
believe I
you.
attached it to the email.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Could we, I don't know if this needs to be in the contract or not, but I would like to see quarterly reports to the,
Just handed my contract, so I'm not sure.
Okay,
Do you wanna-
let me give you this
Do you
back.
wanna second it, and then
I will second
then we
that,
can discuss
yes.
it?
I will second
Yeah.
that.
All right, the motion by Hibbs and the second by Solosik.
Yeah.
I believe in the reporting that it calls for quarterly written reports to the Board of Supervisors. Written report quarterly to the Board of Supervisors is on the second to last page of the contract. So, yep, and that's standard process that we do with the City of Marshalltown as well. And so it will likely be most of the same information that we provide to the city, given that the county, the city is within the county. And then we'll supplement it with additional information about the county efforts specifically. So yes, those will be coming on a quarterly basis. I'd be happy to send our next quarterly report that we'll provide to the city to you all so that you can start to see that format. Obviously, we won't have any specific county pieces. We may have a couple of pieces that we'll drop in there, but we won't have the robust work in the county having started yet. But I can send that to you all so that you're at least well aware of what our reporting looks like when it goes to the city. And if you've got any questions or concerns, we'd be happy to address those.
Do you think it would be important that it be a verbal?
Well, so how I envision this, and I believe we talked about this some in our discussion, were the quarterly written reports and then annually a report before the Board of Supervisors, kind of an update. But I also envision this as an ongoing conversation as opportunities come up for the county or as we're exploring opportunities. I would envision that we would have good open conversation in our meetings about any opportunities that we're considering.
Yeah, but my intention is that whomever ultimately staffs this is probably at every Board of Supervisors meeting, pending that they're not out for some other need. And so whether it's a specific question or during public format or forum, or if there is something that would would require us to come before you and do a report on that, we'd be more than happy to be in front of you all at any point. But in the interest of time for everybody, that's really where we look to provide that quarterly. But yes, we would do an annual update to the Board of Supervisors, likely around this same time of year with the contract renewal. But we could do it earlier if that would be preferred too. So we're open and adaptive to whatever your requests are. The contract gives you opportunities for outs. So if we're underperforming, the contract could be canceled at really any point. And so it's not, we know that this is a partnership. That's really what this comes down to, is a partnership, that we want to be responsive to what your guys' needs are and be able to go out there and do the work.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
We have the motion in the second, and I forgot to attach the contract to the agenda item, so we'll make sure that that is included in the minutes.
Did you have Jordan review it?
I don't believe we've had Jordan look at it.
Do we want to have our county attorney review this?
I think we can approve it pending his
Yes.
review.
Great idea, because he's
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
upstairs.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate any issues with
I
it,
don't
because
either.
we've had this out for a while.
We've been working on this for a while.
Almost identical to what the city of Marshalltown has.
Yeah, yeah. If we'd have had it, I'd have probably sent it to him last week. Yeah, cool.
Should we include that in the motion then, or it will not be
Yeah,
necessary?
pending his review. Approval pending his review.
All right.
Perfect. Any other further discussion questions? And when you're ready, we'll do roll call, please.
Heil,
Yes.
Solosik,
Yes?
Hibbs,
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much, and we look forward to working with you. And I think, like you said, it's all a team effort when you're working on any type of growth. You do it alone, well, you're not going to be effective. In a county our size, we never all hands on deck for any type of growth. So we look forward to this.
Yeah. Thank you guys for coming, and our Alliant rep. Thank you.
All right. On to number 9, approved transfer of funds. Transfer of funds number 949, quarterly transfer, no more of $700,000 from rural services to secondary roads fund, not to exceed the maximum transfer, yet above the minimum transfer amount required by Iowa Code 331.429B.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve the transfer of funds number 949, a quarterly transfer of no more than $700,000 from Rural Services Fund to the Secondary Roads Fund.
I'll second that.
All right, we have the motion and the second. Any further discussion?
This is our normal transfer. that
Yep.
we-
The regular quarterly.
Yes.
All right. Roll call, please.
Heil,
Yes.
Solosik,
Yes.
Hibbs,
Yes.
Number 10, approval of transfer of funds. Transfer 950, annual transfer from lost revenue in the Rural Services Fund to Secondary Roads Fund in the amount of $841,291.98.
I'll make the motion that we approve transfer number 950 and the annual transfer from lost revenue in the Rural Services Fund to the Secondary Roads Fund in the amount of $841,291.98.
I'll second.
We have the motion and the second. Any further discussion on this?
This is 50% of our lost funds. The other 50% we utilize as reduction to property taxes. And I was instructed by both of these with notes from Maria.
Excellent. Thank you for that information, and that's just more information about loss is that will probably become an item possibly on the election this coming fall for renewal. So any other further comments on this? Roll call, please.
Heil,
Yes.
Solosik,
Yes.
Hibbs,
Yes.
Number 11, Resolution 2024. Number 25, appropriation of funds for fiscal year 2024-25. Whereas it is desired to make appropriations for each of the different officers and departments for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024, in accordance with Section 331.434, subsection 6 of the Iowa Code. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Marshall County that the submitted amounts be into the record of our appropriation. And further for the submission into the record is the rest of sections 1 through 6 of this resolution passed on this day, the 19th of June, 2024.
Since this is our last regular meeting, this is so we can start spending money July 1st to pay our bills, like payroll and everything else.
Yes, and I did not need to read all that.
All
Thank
that
you for
fun
that
stuff. We have to
summary,
do this
Dan.
every year. Again, another Maria thing.
Yes,
Do this or nobody gets paid and no bills get paid.
that's right. All right, do we have a motion to approve this resolution?
Adopt it.
Adopt it, thank you.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-0025, appropriation of funds fiscal year 2024-2025.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion, questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Pyle,
Yes.
Solosik.
Yes.
Hibbs,
Yes.
On to Resolution 2024-26, advance issuance of payments for 2024-25 fiscal year. The Board of Supervisors pursuant to Section 331.506, 3A and B, Code of Iowa may authorize the auditor and recorder issue payment of when said board is not in session for the following purposes: fixed charges, including but not limited to freight, express postage, water, light, and telephone service or contracted services after a bill is filed with the auditor recorder. Also, salaries, payrolls. If compensation has been fixed or approved by the board, the salary or payroll shall be certified by the officer of the supervisor under whose direction or supervision of the compensation is earned. Now, therefore, be resolved to authorize the auditor and recorder to issue payments for the aforementioned when said board is not in session. Be it further resolved, all bills paid under this section of the code shall be submitted to the board for review and approval following the payment passed on this 19th day of June 2024.
I'll make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2024-0026, advanced issuance of payments for fiscal year 2024-2025.
I'll second.
All right, we have the motion and the second. Do we have any further discussion, comments on this item?
I think Alliant really wants you to approve this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, we should-
that's be one of the bills we do
We
pay.
want to keep the lights on, so
Yes.
we ought to do this. Any other further questions? Roll call, please.
Pyle,
Yes.
Solosik.
Yes.
Hibbs,
Yes.
Thank you for that. On to Resolution 2024-27, abatement of real estate taxes, whereas pursuant to Chapter 445.16 of the Iowa Code, the treasurer has the authority to determine what's impractical to pursue collection of property taxes through the tax sale or lawsuit remedies, whereas upon making this determination by the county treasurer shall provide recommendation of abatement to the Board of Supervisors, and the board shall abate the following mobile home and or real estate taxes at 908 South 9th Avenue in Marshalltown. Parcel number and further information submitted to the record, and 307 North 13th Avenue, Marshalltown, Iowa, and 204 East 2nd Street in Haverhill, and further information submitted to the record. Therefore, now be resolved, the Board of Supervisors, that the amount due be abated, and the county treasurer is directed to strike the amounts due from the county system. Passed on and approved on this 19th day of June 2024. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a
or
motion.
adopt the abatement.
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-00247, abatement of real estate taxes.
I'll second that.
We have the motion and a second. Any discussion on these items? Standard cleanup at the end of the fiscal year, correct? All right. Any further questions, comments, concerns? Roll call, please.
Pyle,
Yes.
Solosik.
Yes.
Hibbs,
Yes.
Number 14, approve State of Iowa tobacco license renewal at Prime Stop. It's a retail permit application for cigarette tobacco nicotine vapor for Prime Stop at 1659D Marshtown Boulevard, Melbourne, Iowa. Permit effective July 1, 2024 to June 30th, 2025.
I'll make a motion that we approve the State of Iowa retail permit application for cigarette tobacco nicotine vapor for Prime Stop located at 1659D Marshalltown Boulevard, Melbourne, effective July 1st of this year through June 30th of 2025.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further questions, comments, concerns?
Randawas, if it's the old name.
The old-
Right by Melbourne.
Awesome. All right, roll call, please.
Kyle.
Yes.
Solosik.
Yes.
Hibbs.
Yes.
On to number 15, approve participation in the Iowa Burn Justice Assistant Grant, also known as JAG program. Grant number 21, JAG 550121 from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, and authorize the chair to sign. I believe we have Ben Bren here to speak upon this today.
Ben Bren, the Chief Deputy of the Sheriff's Office here at Marshall County. Marshall County Sheriff's Office is proud to be the host agency for the Mid-Iowa Drug Task Force. This grant is an annual grant we do every year. It's actually one of the main funding mechanisms that helps support the Mid-Iowa Drug Task Force when it comes to salary. The task force is growing, and we have recently added 2 state division narcotics enforcement officers, an Iowa National Guard analyst, and we have also had Marshall Police Department's added a second detective in that division as well. So now we're up to a total staff of 8 in the drug task force. As far as stats, the drug problem seems to be pretty consistent. Our Mid-Iowa Drug Task Force annually confiscates approximately 100 pounds of methamphetamine. We are seeing a slight uptick when it comes to heroin opioid cases as well. And there's a lot of separate state grants and programs we're involved with for those as well. Of the applicants for this state grant this year, there were 17 agencies or task forces that applied. We're proud to say that our task force was one of the top 5 when it comes to casework and quality investigation. So it's a very important thing that we do every year. It helps combat our drug problem.
What's the history of funding with this, Ben? Is it consistent? Is it?
It's pretty consistent year after
Okay.
year. I say there's it's a steady stream. We don't really it's pretty level.
Great. Thank you very much. These got the same comments in a text message from the sheriff today, and he said he'd be here, so thank you for the presentation, and it's a great program, and the work that you guys are doing out there is awesome. So is there a motion to approve this?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the participation in the Iowa Burn Justice Assistant Grant, JAG program, grant number 21-JAG-550121 from July 1, 2024 through June 30th of 25, and authorize the chair to sign.
I'll second that.
We have the motion and the second. Do we have any other further questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Kyle.
Yes.
Solosik.
Yes.
Hibbs.
Yes.
Thank you. On to 16, public forum. Time set aside for the public to make comments on topics of county business other than those listed on the agenda. No action will be taken on these topics brought up in the public forum. We welcome any comments now. Come on up.
I'm Pat Lynett. I've been a resident of Marshall County since 1968. Came here with Iowa Electric Light and Power, now Alliant Energy. I live on the Sand Road, but I have 15 acres of bare ground south of Green Mountain. Address is about 1989 Vine Avenue, but I do not have a post office there. This has been in CRP, and I developed an interest in green burial. And that kind of started back from Creed retirement. A program was presented by Mitchell Funeral Home about green burials. But I never did get detailed information how the county approves them or what progress we would go through. So I talked to Jan Benson at a meeting a couple of weeks ago asking about information and called Steve. She said, check with the Board of Supervisors, and Steve asked me to come to the meeting today. So basically, I'm interested in information about the green burial as it relates to Marshall County. I think I have an ideal site. I'm 100 yards probably from any near home, and I also lie just east of Alliant Energy. It started out as a gravel pit, and then Alliant got permission from the county to fill it with fly ash from the power plant. So there'd be no one building close to me on the east side. The other lots are all developed now. There's about 8 of them around me. And I have one open lot at the roadside, but I'm not planning on doing that green burial if I decide to do that. I am in the process of doing some survey work out there to establish boundaries. The fences were never kept up, and neighbors like to move in, and so I think I ought to put a borderline fence in. And I thought this might be a good idea. If the county's going to require certain, I've got to have the surveyors lay that out for me so I can have it legally put into the abstract. So I guess my request is information, and we'll go from there. My daughters approve it, and I think it's a way of helping global warming out. We're going to save some natural gas, I hope. And I would appreciate that information, and may never materialize, but at least I want to evaluate it. At my age, I got to consider the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we sent an email, Sarah had done a little research and sent you an email on that with
Yes.
kind of some steps. So we don't currently have any ordinances or in our county, so there'd be some work to do before that could happen.
Perfect. Well, thank you. This is the first I've ever had it come to me. I know since my time as supervisor, and I never heard of it before with my time as treasurer either. So, so we're excited to dive into this and see what appropriate, requirements need to be done from our point as the county, and we're happy to work with you on this. So we'll be in contact.
Marty Mitchell and Jody Anderson were very helpful in our research for that. So, yes.
Not to mention, I'm also a neighbor of Jody Anderson, so he doesn't know that my interest lies in this area. But
Yeah, so it was helpful. I did just want to share that we've got a special election coming up July 16th. We don't exactly know when our absentee voting is going to start because people can still file through this Friday, June 21st. So there are 2 folks that have filed paperwork, but they can file through 5 p.m. this Friday. So we don't know if we're done with folks that are going to file. And then they can withdraw. The rules are weird. Through Monday, the 24th, because they could change their mind over the weekend. I don't know. I don't make the rules. We just follow them. And then we can, our programmer, when he was here over primary, kind of got the ballot prepped. So we're hoping that sometime later that week we'll have the ballot ready. We do have capability of printing ballot here. I have to watch our social media for when we've got things ready to go because he lives out of state. He lives in Omaha. So we got to get him here. But very latest, we'll have things ready to go by July 1st. And we will be running absentee early voting out of our office here, 3rd floor, northeast side. Thank you, Sarah. I'm directionally challenged. I'll admit it. So that's the fun that will happen up in that time. And also just note, all county offices are closed July 4th and 5th. State offices are closed the 4th. Not the 5th, so was at the sheriff's office earlier this week, spoke with Sheriff Phillips and Chief Deputy Vran. We may keep the north door locked. We're gonna get with James and maybe try to just shuffle people towards this side and so they don't go to all the offices that are closed.
Is there anything on their schedule that day?
Not a lot, but they have to remain open.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try to keep it.
They don't have a trial.
No county attorneys here.
Okay.
So, yeah, we've kind of went through everybody, and we'll put some postings up that day, and, but if we could kind of rope some things off, too, as we kind of talked more, it makes it a little bit more challenging, but just to kind of get it out there. So those will be 2 days we won't be able to vote, but we'll have the whole next week as well, so I think it'll work out okay.
Courthouse security here on Friday.
Yes. Yeah, there will be security too, so but if we can kind of rope it off, and I think we did that another day, and that worked pretty well.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you.
Blaze Weir, Marshall County Assessor. Just want to use this platform to let the public know I am going to be mailing income letters out to apartments, hotels, motels, offices, businesses, and stuff like that for a possible income approach valuation in the future. It'll be years down, but I need to start collecting the information now to be able to even look at income as an approach, because there's 3 approaches that we can use: is cost, sales, and income. Sales is primary in Iowa, but we use the cost approach to build up a record first, and then we use the other methods to kind of defend our values and stuff like that. So I'll probably be sending out letters to those kind of entities for commercial, industrial, and Res 3 Plus that qualify for as apartments and stuff, probably next month. I've also sent out some exempt questionnaires to all the exempt properties. Most of them have probably already received it by now. I've gotten some phone calls on them and hand delivered them to some of the entities here in Marshalltown, just to make sure my exemptions are up to date as well. So I just wanted to use this platform to get the word out.
Thanks, Blaze.
Do you want to mention something about Tavius?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I have a rebuttal for him.
Okay.
All right. Any other public comment? All right. Hearing none. On to adjournment. The next regular session is Wednesday, July 3rd. And we do have another meeting on June 16th or
26.
26th. Thank you. That one will be at 9 o'clock here. But the next regular session is July 3rd. Here at the courthouse, first floor meeting room, 1 East Main Street. All business to be acted upon. That session should be submitted to the Auditor Recorder's Office or the Board of Supervisors' Office by Wednesday, June 26th at noon. There being no further business to come before the board. Meeting is adjourned at 9:46 a.m. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.
Steve's on.